Rodney Barbour was the accompanist for some of the greatest moments in Cincinnati Reds history. On a sunny day in a mall, he took us out to a ball game.
To introduce myself, for those people who don't know, right. I'm Kathy with Kathy's Happy Organs and Pianos. And now I want to introduce Rodney Barbour. Rodney was a former organist for the Reds. He's a world-renowned concert classical organist and is the minister, that's true, minister of music for Crestview Presbyterian Church. And I consider him the Victor Borge of the organ. Now, the young people won't know who Victor Borge is, but if you do know, he was a wonderful classical pianist with a sense of humor. Okay? Rodney, take it away.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. Thank you so much. Celebration, it's the song you might have heard and still, I think, here at the ballpark, Kool and the Gang. Well, it's great to have you here today, and it's hard for me to believe a couple of things. Number one, it's been 25 years since I last actually played at Riverfront Stadium, which of course is no longer there anymore. So 25 years is a long time. But I've had a ball out here this last week playing these beautiful organs that Kathy has and kind of refreshing my memory. At one time, probably I had 2,000 to 2,500 songs in my mind that you could get to quickly, which is what you have to do if you play the organ, but only 30 seconds of each song. Because in the ball game, there isn't a lot of time to play a complete song. And so with 30 seconds, you know, I can do that. So that was a lot of fun. So I'm trying to get those back in my mind. We'll see how many of them I can do for you today. The other thing, Kathy mentioned Victor Borge. I actually, back in 1972, was in Pittsburgh with my college choir doing a concert. And we stayed in the Webster Hall Hotel in Pittsburgh, which was a pretty fancy place. I got on the elevator. The door opened, and there's Victor Borge. And he looked at me, and I looked at him, and I was like, and he said, "Yes, I'm Victor Borge." And then he left, but I was still starstruck. It was amazing that I almost was in an elevator with Victor. I found it uplifting, I have to say. Okay, well, what I thought I would do is kind of take us through a ball game here today, and some of the things that I might do and some of the scenarios which might happen. Of course, today the Reds are playing the Mets. The Mets aren't the worst team. Mets, worst. You have to listen carefully today, you know, if you want to do this. Well, back in the day, after you play some happy songs like Celebration to get people all excited, then you look for things. And so usually right before the Star Spangled Banner, Marge would make her entrance into the stadium. And so this might be a song which you'll recognize that I would have played if I see Marge coming in. Thank you. So, of course, that song is Margie, is the name of it. And I had no idea about this, but I would always play it when she came in. And my good friend John Browdy, who was the announcer, one day turned around and looked at me and said, "You know Marge absolutely hates that song." But anyway, I mean, I at least recognized her. She kind of made her entrance. So Marge is in place. We're getting ready to start the game, and before it starts, the first thing we would do would be to have the Star Spangled Banner. So if you'd like to join me, you can stand if you're able, and let's do it. I have to find it. Organ strings. Yeah. So we have the Star Spangled Banner, and then what we have is the run-on. So all the players are getting ready to come on the field. The umpires are doing the last-minute things they need to do. So let me give you my lineup of some of my favorite players. So the first one would be batting first and playing first base, Hal Morris. So we play a little something to welcome, and then of course that was the Hallelujah chorus. And sometimes the players would suggest a song, or sometimes if they didn't have a song, we would just play a charge. So batting second, playing second base, Joe Morgan. And you can say charge, there's no charge for that. Okay. So the next thing we have is we would have Pete Rose coming up. So batting third, playing third base, Pete Rose. Now batting fourth and playing right field, we have Frank Robinson. Batting fifth, playing center, Eric Davis. Sixth and playing left, George Foster. And Barry Larkin. And then one of my very, very favorites, just a wonderful gentleman, catching and batting eighth. We are going to have, as soon as I can find the right buttons here, Johnny Bench. So go, Johnny, go. And then last but not least, Mr. Perfect himself, pitching, batting ninth, Tom Browning. So the players are on the field, they're still kind of throwing the ball around and need some music just to fill in while the crowd is getting ready to watch that game. So I'm gonna hit a couple of buttons here and play, since it's the first inning, this is called One from a Chorus Line. Thank you. Okay, so our game is now underway. The first pitch has been thrown. When the visiting team comes up to bat, you are not allowed to play anything. They don't want to do anything that would cause a penalty on the Reds, and you don't want to do anything to excite those guys to do anything. So it's pretty silent. And if you even listen to the announcer, when they're doing the Reds, they'll go, playing shortstop, David Concepcion. But when the other team bats, playing first base, third. So it's really funny if you listen to the announcers and you can tell those kind of things that are subtly going on that you might miss if you're not kind of paying attention. But the Reds are now at bat, and the crowd needs to get involved. You know, most people would actually rather be out there playing baseball than watching it. So we need to do things to get the crowd. So that's where all these little clapping kinds of things come in. So let me hit these two buttons. So we need to get the crowd livened up so you can clap along. Or, since I'm a barber, we could do this one. Shave and a haircut. Or if it coming up is Cinco de Mayo, so. Or this one. Or if it's early October and we're in postseason play, we could do this one. That's from the Addams Family. I don't want to leave you in the lurch. Or Easter was last week. If it was Easter Sunday, or in a couple of weeks, the Kentucky Derby. Charge. Okay. So those are just some of the things we might do to try to keep the crowd interested. When someone hits a foul ball, it takes almost exactly 20 seconds for the umpire to get a new ball, throw it out, the pitcher rough it up, and get ready to play. And that's pretty consistent. That's pretty amazing after you play, 100 games a year. And you learn these little things. So you find things that will fill that time so the fans are not just sitting there. So that's why the clapping it goes on. Okay, so we're in the second inning now. Second inning, they would often start doing some promotions. So one of the fun things, usually at the beginning of the year, coming up pretty soon, you'll have a Bark in the Park night. So people are actually able to bring their pets, their little dogs, and they'll show pictures on the video boards of people with their dogs. So this might be an actual good song to play. How much is that doggy in the window? Now, of course, the problem is with some of our young kids these days and everything, if you don't know the name of that song, it's not funny at all. You go, what's that organist doing all this stuff here? So anyway, but I think you will know the names of most of these. So the most famous dog, of course, at Riverfront Stadium was Shotzi. And Shotzi got to roam the field, and Shotzi was with Marge a lot, and she cut its hair and kept that in bags. And for good luck, she would, if a player would come up, she would take a handful of that hair and rub it on the player's chest. And the players were not at all amused by this. But Marge loved it, and she did it, and she paid their salaries, so they did that. Now, of course, after Shotzi passed away, we had Shotzi 02. And I know some of you have heard this story before. But when Shotzi 02 came, it was a little puppy, and it just ran around all over the field, and the players absolutely hated this because she would let it run while they were warming up. Well, of course, that could get in their way. I mean, if you trip over the dog and hurt your $2 million hand, that's a problem. But anyway, Shotzi was running around, and one day Shotzi was out there. I was watching, I was playing, and Shotzi stopped at second base and did a number 2 for second base. And what perfect song would you play for that? Oh, where has my little dog gone? Is the name of that. So that, I got in trouble over that, actually. It actually made the paper. One of the writers picked it up and said, organist accompanies Shotzi to second base. And so I got a call. Honey, this is Marge. Don't make fun of my dog again or you're out of here, you understand? So anyway, but it was fun. It was all in good fun. So there are all kinds of dog songs, I guess, that we could play. If you were a classical musician and took your dog, let me play a little bit and see if anyone recognizes this. That is a classical piece called the Bark-a-Roll by Hoffman. So the classical musicians might enjoy that one if you did that. Well, I never took my dog to the stadium, but my dog's name was Stay, S-T-A-Y. And I'd go, come here, Stay, come here, Stay. The dog was terribly confused and had a bipolar thing, but anyway, it was a cute little dog. Now here's one that is a very it's not really a classical song, but it's a song that everybody should know, called The Whistler and His Dog. Okay. Do you know why poor dogs chase their tails? They're trying to make ends meet. And do you know why dogs don't dance? They have 2 left feet. You ain't nothing but a hound dog. I might play that when Shotzi had her picture up on the screen. Okay, our second inning is over. We're going to move to the third. No one has scored yet, and the Reds don't have any hits. So they are up to bat, and I'm going to have had time to push a couple of buttons here and push a button here. Now see, in the game, you wouldn't really have time to do all this, so you kind of use the same sounds a lot, but I'm trying to show you this organ just a little bit here. I'm going to increase my tempo up to 175, and I'm going to think of something that the Reds might help them to get their bats started. So let's see what this sounds like. It don't mean a thing if you ain't got that swing. Well, the Reds could have got a hit, but the umpire made a really bad call and called it out. Now, there's one song that's totally forbidden, and it's actually in a memo to all ballpark organists from the league that you may not play this song. I forget which team it was, but there was an organist who was actually kicked out of the game for playing Three Blind Mice. Now here's one that's maybe a little less obvious, but one that would be appropriate for another dumb call. If I Only Had a Brain from The Wizard of Oz. Now, Marty and Joe and Glenn Sample, who were also in the booth where the organ was up there, John Browdy was there, the public address announcer, Glenn Sample, the official score, and Marty and Joe were right next door, and there was the organ. It was a wonderful place to be to hear these guys talking. But they always offered to pay me if I would play If I Only Had a Brain when Marge came in instead of playing Margie. And I never would do that because I'm actually a very nice person. Okay, well, the Reds are doing well, and this opposing team needs to have a conference on the mound. So they're all out there talking, and the umpire's getting very agitated. So here goes the umpire out. Or you could do this one. The worms go in, the worms go out. But you know what? They left the pitcher in, and he allowed the Reds to hit a grand slam home run. So it's pretty exciting stuff going on. So maybe as they're running around the bases, you could play something like this. Great balls of fire. Okay, so the Reds have a little lead right now, and everybody's kind of relaxed again. The other team's back up, and everything is just breezing along with the breeze. Thank you. So, a couple of things that they often did in the fourth inning when I played is they had the Mr. Reds race, and there were 3 baseballs on the screen, and they would have the organ play live the famous Lone Ranger music from the William Tell Overture, and we'd have to decide whether baseball number 1, 2, or 3 would win. It was baseball number 3 that won. Today, of course, they have Mr. Red and Rosie Red and Gapper do that race, and it's all done electronically. The Reds still do have an organist, and I'm sorry I don't remember his name, but he is the organist for the Rusty Griswolds band that's a local band in town. Does a great job. He uses a keyboard a lot. They just last year took the old organ that I played, which they had moved over to the new stadium, and it's being restored. It might even be done by now, but they're going to put it in the Reds Hall of Fame Museum. Yeah, so that's exciting news. I meant to call before today, and I ran out of time to do it, but it's a Baldwin Pro 222 organ, And a wonderful organ. We had a lot of fun with it. So it should be in the Reds Museum sometime soon. The Spar Organ Company is doing that restoration on that of the cabinet and everything, so it'll look really nice. But now that is done with electronics. The other thing that we often had in the fourth inning was the scoreboard stumper. So they would have a request or a question, I guess, and it would be a trivia question about Reds, like how many World Series did the Reds win? And then you would play this. By the way, does anyone know how many World Series the Reds have won? You got it, 5. 5 World Series. Okay, so that's wonderful. Okay, we're up to the 5th inning now, but a rain delay. Now, rain delays for the people who play 80 games a year are dreadful. But they're not so bad for the organist, because that's the only time you really get to play a lot. In the innings, you might get to play 30 seconds of a song between an inning. You might get to play the clapping things, but complete songs you could only play before the game, after the game, or during a rain delay. And so what you want to do is maybe choose things that help the fans forget about the rain. The best rain delay that I ever had was Tom Browning's Perfect Game. And if any of you remember that night, the game was supposed to start around 7 o'clock. And it was absolutely pouring. And the home team actually, there becomes a point where they have no control on whether they cancel that game or play that game. It's up to the umpires in the National League. Well, of course, Marge never wanted to cancel anything, because that's more hot dog money she was going to get while the fans were there. But it got to be about 9:30, and even Marty and Joe were going, "Oh my goodness, we're going to have to be here all night." And it was the end of the year, and that team wasn't going to come in town anymore, so it would be very awkward to make that game up. So they were going to play that game, whether or not. And remember, I told you I think I knew about 2,000 songs. Well, I played every one of them that night. And so finally, about 11:30, I think there were about 1,000 people left in the total park, which seated over 45 or so thousand. And the rain stopped, and they began that game, and we were just dying in there. We ate all the free food that was up in the press box. There wasn't anything else left to eat there that we could get to. But anyway, so they started the game, and then by about 1:45, we realized something's going on here. And of course, you know the history. Tom Browning ended up pitching that perfect game. And for those who stayed, and for all of us, it was just an absolute thrill to do that. The other thrill for me personally, I'll just say, was I did get to play in my second year there, the '88 All-Star games, which were really fun. And then I also got to play the '90 World Series, which Marge was absolutely furious because they won that in 4 games. So she could have had one more game of concessions, and she was very upset. She said, "Couldn't we stretch this out to 5?" And so anyway, they won that. And those were real fun things. I got some more rain delay songs, so let's see what these sound like. One more. Good, we have a sixth inning. We're getting close to the end of the game here, but a few more things to do. We got some more promos we want to do. So it's Oktoberfest, and this is again one of the last games of the season. So we should have some Oktoberfest music, and I think you could help me here if we did a little chicken dance. So let me find my settings here. And the way we'll do this is here you go, 4 beaks, beak, 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 wing, 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 tail, 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 clap, clap, clap. You do it. Beak, 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 wing, 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 tail, 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 clap, 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 clap. Here we go. Ready? Okay. I absolutely love a good polka. Okay, so another promotion that we often had on Sundays were church days, and different people from different communities, like one of the big ones I remember was a Lutheran day. It was on a Sunday, and there were Lutheran people all over, and of course the Lutheran national anthem is this: "A Mighty Fortress." And so I would actually play that, and let me turn on my church setting here. Actually, every song that I ended that day, I stuck that on there. So even like if I played the baseball song. So all the Lutherans in the ballpark were clapping like crazy, and everybody else was going like, so what's wrong with these people? But the fun thing about it, and this was a really neat thing that's happened for me, is that when I go do concerts in churches, which is the main thing that I do, people find out I'm the ballpark, and they come because I am a Reds organist, not to hear the church music. And but it's all okay, because baseball and church, you know, I mean, you open the good book, it says in the big inning. So that all relates. Here's the end of Beethoven's Symphony, one of my very favorite ones that I would often play. And we might as well throw a little Bach in. They jazzed this up for public radio and put it in 4/4 time and called it Joy. So there were all kinds of promotions. I'll do one last one. One of mine was always my favorite was Farmer's Night. And they would bring cows, and there would be cows on the field and chickens and all kinds of neat stuff. And this organ has a really nice chicken sound on it. So let me see if I can find that here real quick. I mean, gosh, you all got to come and visit Kathy. These Lowry organs, I mean, if you could buy an organ with a chicken sound on it, what else do you need in your life to make you happy? Okay, we're coming down to the 7th inning stretch, and you all know what that means. So let's stretch just a little bit, and then we got some fun things to do right after this. Let's stand and sing. Okay, have a seat, have a seat. Okay, let me just do a couple more songs for you, and then I'll be here afterwards if you have any questions or things about the games or anything. I'd love to meet you and chat with you a little bit. So it's the 8th inning, and all of a sudden the game is close, but the umpire made a bad call. The bases are loaded, and it turns into a free-for-all. Everyone is fighting on the field, so I need to play some music to calm everybody down. Thank you very much. You have lost that lovin' feeling. Well, it's the last inning. The Reds are ahead by 1, and they have won that game, and so something like happy days. Thank you very much. So then they'll have the game wrap up, and the people are leaving. They'll probably have one video or so to promote some things, and then I can play as long as I want after the end of that, which is a lot of fun. If anyone wants to buy this organ after the concert, I'll sign it. Thank you all so much. It's a joy to play for you, and love, again, to answer any questions if you have them. Have a good rest of your day.